Ladies and gentlemen, especially ladies, how would you feel if I say, all women are bad? They're always manipulative, self-centered, materialistically obsessed, and just caring about superficial appearances. I mean, all women should just simply exist for men's pleasure. Well, you wouldn't even listen to me because I'm obviously being sexist and making no sense. However, guess what? Every day, you are exposed to these sexist stereotypes and prejudices on media. This is because the media today is super saturated with these sexist prejudices and stereotypes. Even a great show called The Arrested Development is not an exception to this pattern. The Arrested Development is sexist in mainly three ways. Firstly, it sexually objectifies women. Secondly, it promotes the stereotype that all women are manipulative and self-centered. And lastly, it promotes the stereotype that all women are obsessed with materialism and looks. Sexual objectification is portraying women as objects for men's simple pleasure. In fact, the media today is super saturated with these sexually objectified images. The show The Arrested Development is not an exception to this rule. So now let's take a look at the sexually objectified images in Arrested Development. One of the most evident examples of sexual objectification in the Arrested Development happens in episode 1. In this scene, Kitty parts from her boyfriend, Tobias, and check out what her last words are.
Kitty left me 2 days ago. There's a blue handprint on the back of your head, Kitty. Are you seeing someone else?
Face it, Tobias. It's over.
What?
Say goodbye to these!
Those are blue too!
As you just saw, Kitty shows her breasts and says, say goodbye to these. So by saying this, she implies that the main reason that Tobias is meeting her is for her private body parts. This is an example of sexual objectification because Kitty, a woman, is portrayed as an object for Tobias' sexual pleasure. Another clear example of sexual objectification happens in episode 3. In this scene, Michael is remembering of his date with Barbara, and pay attention to the man at the back.
I'd love to meet your family.
Michael knew from experience that this would not turn out well.
Usually once or twice a week. We get it. Right, you can see that, right?
He came up with a solution so simple he wondered why he'd never told anyone it before.
So did you just see that? In order to point out Barbara's specific physical features, the man at the back has a vulgarly smile and puts a cushion inside his clothes in order to imitate Barbara's private body parts. This is an example of sexual objectification because Barbara, to the audience, is depicted and portrayed as a sexual image in a very erotic way, not as a human. So clearly then, we can conclude that the producers of Arrested Development are being unconsciously sexist because they are often sexually objectifying women.
I want you to stop beating my son.
No, I love him.
Take this and never come back.
Okay.
Long since media has been developed, women have always been portrayed as manipulative and self-centered characters, especially when men and money come into the equation. Take a look at the scene.
Can I talk to you for 1 sec?
And that's when George Sr. got a call from Lucille.
2252.
Howdy doody, that's it. Now, you get back here so you can smuggle me out past the guards before Michael starts blabbing.
You know what? You can smuggle yourself out. You want to get away from me so bad? You're free. But I'm free too, baby. I'm staying in the conjugal trailer with the warden tonight.
Him?
The plot behind this is that the mother goes to sleep with the warden to free her husband from jail. Although that is the original intention, she then declares that she really will go sleep with the warden just to make her husband feel jealous. This scene portrays women as people who are willing to give up even their body and their sexuality in order to get what they want. In fact, this other scene also clearly illustrates this.
They won't let me take out her feeding tube. And I'm lucky. I have the resources to pay for these medical bills.
You have resources?
What good is my money if I can't bring her back?
But you can't. And money should be spent on dating. Is that what you're going to say?
Let's go ahead and wait outside.
So, you come here all...
This is a stereotypical depiction of women as manipulative characters. Here, Lindsay is blatantly alluring that man, and she's not even thinking about the brain-dead woman on the table there. Not only are these stereotypes blatantly false and inappropriate against women, but also the implied message behind these clips is that women cannot be independent. The reason they are manipulative and immature is because they need men to depend on.
Hey Davida, what are we gonna do today? There's only one thing we do in our free time. Shopping! In media, there are many characteristics of women that are overly emphasized. Mainly, women are portrayed as individuals who are materialistically driven or extremely considerate of superficial appearances. First, let's take a look at how women in Arrested Development are portrayed as materialistically obsessed individuals.
Did it, Mikey? We're super rich again. And I'm gonna buy a car, the Volvo.
As depicted in the scene, Lindsay is constantly begging her brother to buy her a Volvo. This is an obvious reflection of the female obsession over material goods, as she is extremely dedicated in getting this car. This concept is exaggerated further.
Maybe I should get something faster.
Not the car. I said no to the Volvo.
The Lexus. The Volvo didn't have satellite.
Lindsay has changed her mind about getting a Volvo into getting an even more expensive Lexus. This not only emphasizes her focus on materialism, but also shows her capricious personality. This is another scene that focuses on women's obsession on superficial appearance.
We had the best time. She's got such an amazing fashion sense.
You guys got these jackets on inside out?
Yeah, that way you see the label. Yeah, I mean, that's what you're paying for, right? It's a great statement on
In the scene, the female characters are portrayed as shopaholics, as shown through their shopping bags. In addition, through their conversation, you can see that they are only interested in one thing, fashion. This image further reflects the female stereotype that women are obsessed with materialism and superficial appearances.
One can consider that Arrested Development in fact counters sexism because it passes the Bechdel test. However, just the fact that the show passes the Bechdel test does not prove it isn't stereotypically portraying women. In fact, most conversations between Lindsay and Maybe are restricted to materialism and consumption, like conversations on what color to paint nails or what clothes to buy. We aren't saying to stop watching Arrested Development because of its female stereotypes. I mean, there's no doubt that this show is hilarious. But just because it's a popular show does not mean we can ignore the fact it often portrays prejudices. These messages can be psychologically harmful in that women could define themselves with these stereotypes.
This is a quote that supports what David just said.
However, we can overcome these consequences by paying at least a little bit more attention to sexism